Hey everybody, happy Friday. It's August 1st, 2025. I've got a special episode for your rush hour ride home. I speak with Lauren Knighty, our good pal. We met covering the Bachelor Clayton Echard case. She's a psych evaluator and offers a great insight into these court cases. Of course, if you aren't familiar, she was subpoenaed by Blake Lively, so there's actually multiple cases to talk about. We will be discussing the Blake Lively case against Justin Baldoni, what her subpoena means, and all that entails. And then we'll be discussing, unbelievable, the family tree of cases from Laura Owens. We'll be discussing the Clayton Echard case, the Mike Maruchini case, and the David Jingris case, as he is now, got arrested for DUI. All of this spawning from the Bachelor Clayton scenario. So if you aren't familiar with those stories, they're fascinating and they all sort of tie together. I don't care if you follow us for Clayton, Candace, Blake, or someone in between. We've got it all. You're going to enjoy this conversation happening right now with our good pal, Lauren. Ladies and gentlemen, so excited for a fan favorite, not just of my program, but seemingly of the internet. It's Lauren Knighty. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
It's like seeing someone who's taken the training wheels off of their bicycle. You're just Tour de France style right here. You're getting press. You've been subpoenaed by A-lister Blake Lively. What is life?
I don't know. I'm very confused. I mean, you gave me the training wheels, and now here we are. So.
I mean, yeah, you've got it all. I'll be the person you can blame here. We've gone from small ball family court to one of the biggest celebrity cases, quite literally, of all time.
Yeah, that's weird.
Should we just do the Rolodex? Where do you want to start? You want to start on Blake Lively, or do you want to start on Clayton Echard?
We'll start with Clayton. Go back to the roots.
So Clayton Echard stars in the season 3 of Perfect Match on Netflix. I've never seen Perfect Match. Are you going to be watching it?
Yeah, I actually haven't either, but I'm definitely going to watch Clayton's season just because why wouldn't I,
Clayton and Rachel Recchia had this makeout scene on a dock in on The Bachelor, and I needed to have a cigarette break afterwards. I was like, Rachel's gonna win. They had such good chemistry. I'm still holding out hope that there's something between the two of them, but we really just want Clayton to be happy at this point after all this.
I thought they had the best chemistry, to be honest, on his season, but we only see parts of we don't see everything, obviously.
I would pay if we could. I've always said if we could do some sort of Bachelor OnlyFans, I'm
oh my
in.
God.
Is that creepy?
There's an idea.
No, I'm not the only one. There's a business model.
It might be financially wise.
So we stumbled on you probably a year ago, right? We stumbled on you as a psych evaluator. You decided to hit record on a couple of videos in the Bachelor community after Clayton Echard was accused of being the father of someone's unborn twins. I need to preface this because we have a whole new Candace Owens audience here, and they need to know this story. So,
sure.
So yeah, we got about 4,000 new people this week subscribed just in covering the delicious nature of all of this. So Clayton is, he was obviously vindicated, and Laura Owens is charged with 7 felony accounts. Along with that, she is trying to continue her domestic violent restraining order against Mike Maruchini. You have made an appearance in those court documents. Can you give us an update to the celebrity nature? I mean, you've got multiple fires in multiple states happening right now.
Well, Laura's not much of a fire. She's more of a wet match. You know what I mean? So, I'm not too worried about that one.
She looks like a wet match, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, you were the one who said she was hot in her mugshot.
I stand by it. I think she's got a above average. I think there's a website for like hot people that got arrested. I say Laura Owens gets in it. I'm all on the hot Laura Owens.
I'm going to need you to send me that website, man.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's going to be it'll be a tough time in the prison for her, but you make it, what was it like finding out your image, a still from a thumbnail from your YouTube channel is in her court papers?
I mean, I was really surprised, to be honest, because I feel like, why would you want to draw more attention to what I was saying in that moment? I think that was unwise for her. But it was a little strange, but at the same time, like, I'm used to her being kind of a freak about you and Megan. So I'm like, eventually she was going to get around to me because she got bored with everyone else.
Got to be honest, I feel left out. I'm not subpoenaed by Blake Lively, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I'm not even mentioned, although she kind of burned you. She burned you in the document. She was like, there's bigger content. She like threw a jab at you, but hey, yeah, all press is good press. So Laura Owens was supposed to be attending this hearing today. It's been pushed back to August 15th.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal because Mike Maruchini he's one of the original targets of Laura.
Yeah.
For years, he was there was no publicity to this case before the Bachelor Clayton got involved.
Right.
And he just had to deal with the fact that she made a TEDx talk about him, which, claimed he was violent towards her. And he's just been punished over and over for, provable lies. So do you have a different tone to the Mike case versus the Clayton? It's almost like Mike's been the unsung hero here.
Yeah, well, he had a much longer term kind of relationship to her. I'm not saying necessarily they were boyfriend and girlfriend, because I know they were very contentious about that, but he had sort of a longer term relationship to her than the rest of them. So I feel like he endured a lot more emotional abuse from her over a longer period of time. Not to say that anyone else's situation is like less terrible because of that, but I do feel like he endured kind of a worse or a more a longer psychological torture from her than a lot of people did, and so that has like lasting effects. And you can see how he's like a really nice, sweet guy. He does not seem like anyone who would ever hurt a fly, and you can see the effect that it has on him to have people believe what she says. So
yeah, you can't even imagine. Emotional abuse is one of those terms. It's like, what does it even mean? But he is a textbook case where he was trying to break up with her and live his life, and she was threatening self-harm over and over.
Right.
I mean, like to the nth degree. And I believe getting her mom involved, and even her dad was involved, where he would sit down and have conversations with Mike, like, hey, she does this. And yeah, it's like finally in setting boundaries, it's been years of him having to have this cloud over his head, and people that don't know the full story. It's like, look, when you see someone's got a restraining order against them, you're like, good God, what did you do? And this really changes the conversation. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes with Mike. Not much else to report. You did submit to get media access, and it seems as though they don't allow that. What's the update with that?
So I wasn't sure what the situation was, because I'm not familiar with any courts in California or anything like that. Arizona is the only one I ever streamed from. And I had gotten permission at one point in Florida for that Hales case, but that was a whole different story. But in California, I guess I did the formal media request with the court that you're supposed to do if you want to do recording or camera or whatever. And they denied it. They didn't really give me a reason, but I just assumed it's like, this is obviously a case with a sensitive nature. I'm not going to question it. I accept that. I totally respect it. I just assume if I go, I'll like watch and I won't record. It's not a big deal. So I didn't think twice about it. But then she wrote in her filing that I was like retaliating somehow. I was like, lady, I didn't even tell anyone I did this. The only reason anyone knows is because it showed up on the docket, and I had no idea they were going to put me on blast like that. So.
She literally punishes anybody who tries to get in the way of her mayhem. I wanted to share this with you. You might have already seen this. I don't have the image to pop up here, but the lady who ran the TEDx Talk studio where Laura said her lies posted this. News broke about the bogus allegations against the former Bachelor Clayton by Scottsdale resident Laura Owens, where she claimed she was pregnant with no proof. The case has now resulted in the county attorney filing criminal charges against Laura Owens. In 2021, 4 years ago, Laura came to my studio to record a video for TED Talks. I never knew what she was up to. I was surprised to see a comment by the studio. Maybe there was some DMs asking her to comment. But yeah, that TEDx talk is still up. And, as long as those things are still up, she's still living these lies, and the collateral damage continues to rage on.
Mm-hmm. We've all tried to get that taken down too. I mean, I know some people who did TED Talks, not even TEDx Talks, but like actual TED Talks. But it was a long time ago we were connected when I was in college. And so I reached out to them and I was like, hey, do you have any contact I can talk to about this? And it's just impossible to get a hold of them, really.
And you know that they're listening because they now turned the comment section off. So you can't comment on it. You can't even defend yourself against that. But either way, lots to get into. You have been the target of Laura's attorney David Jingris. We all have.
God.
He
I
got
forget about him sometimes.
and rightfully so. I hate to bring him back up. He had a receipt. He got a DUI recently. I don't know if you're familiar with this story, but I've got what. Well, I'm assuming this will be his defense. High Noon recalls 12 packs, saying they may contain Celsius energy drink cans filled with vodka seltzers. Have you heard of this story?
No.
Yeah, this is a big story this week that I've been covering. The issue was traced to a packaging supplier that accidentally sent Celsius branded cans to High Noon's facility. But they say that the cans were only distributed in Florida, Michigan, New York, Ohio.
Oh, Florida, yeah, of course.
Oklahoma, South Carolina, Virginia, and Wisconsin. So, I mean, ostensibly, if he can prove that he was in one of those states, he might say that who knows what his defense is going to be, but he was arrested 3 miles away from Laura Owens' property. Do you think there's something is there some sort of Munchausen twin flame thing happening between the attorney and Laura?
I've never thought there was any sort of Munchausens anywhere in that situation with that family, but I definitely think they're banging, so...
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah.
That is one OnlyFans I won't be subscribing to.
Oh, God, that's a nightmare.
I've set the bar low, but we're not digging down there.
You'd only watch that if you had a humiliation fetish.
And I don't, but Laura certainly does. So
sure.
That'll wrap it up for our Clayton coverage. Let's go to the big dogs. You've graduated from small town family court. You've been subpoenaed. And you've received press, the global blog program, Us Magazine, or whatever the hell they're called.
I guess so.
Give my audience like a general update about what it felt like to find out. Where were you when you found out you were subpoenaed by Blake Lively, star of The Shallows?
That's funny that you say that, because I was actually a fan of her in Gossip Girl and The Shallows before I started covering this case. That's why I did it.
Which is a true life story about a lady stranded on a rock. You know, she made friends with a seagull and got attacked by a shark. Spoiler. So yeah, no, I saw that you labeled yourself as an utter dork in your response, but walk us through the full subpoena gate here.
Yeah, I was out in LA. I was in a hotel room. I was working at the time because I had to work during the day. That was back when. God, it's only been a few weeks. It was right before I was in Zach's show. I was out in LA and I went on to see Zach and Donna. And I got an email, and it was from like this kind of, it could be sketchy looking Google legal support email address. And it says, there's been a subpoena for your account information in Blake Lively versus Wayfarer. And I was like, what the hell? So the first thing I did was I texted a bunch of my lawyer friends and I was like, hey, is this real? Like, what is this? Is she subpoenaing? Because I thought that she was trying to subpoena me personally, but I guess she was going through Google. And so it took me a while to figure that part out, because I was like, what is this? And then, of course, there was that whole chaotic mess of, I posted about it, and then people were like, it's a phishing scam. And It took forever for us to figure out it wasn't a phishing scam, because her lawyers refused to give us a clear answer. They didn't answer me at all for 4 or 5 days.
And can you imagine that audacity to fart in an elevator and walk out like that? It's like, no. You want my info? Yeah. You answer the flipping phone when I call. I'm Laura Knighty. You know what I mean? Like I'm big time over here. Yeah, that's got to be. So you find, and I would have thought the same thing. And in today's world, AI and scams left and right, I don't trust anybody. Domino's shows up and I'm like, what do you want? What do you need from me? So you eventually find out it's real. And look, we use these platforms, Google, YouTube. They're the boss. We make content. We're like licensed, it's like we don't own it. So we don't always have control other than, hoping to quash the subpoena. Do you think this was Blake's strategy? Did you think she believed there was something nefarious happening? Because the PR for Blake on this is devastating.
It's really, really hard to say, because on the one hand, it's like was clearly targeted at people who were talking negatively about her. She strategically picked these accounts, people who don't quite have a large enough following for the most part to like make any noise, except for like Andy, which is why it's so random. And But there's also like, you don't actually believe that we were paid by people, right? Because I've just been covering court documents. You can see my thought process and where I get this information from, because I regularly show it to people. I tell people how to access things. I walk them through it. So there's no way that she actually believes that I was paid by this man to do this, because I'm paying out of my own pocket to get these documents and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
isn't that
it's
wild?
just weird.
What a time to be alive, where you are showing the math, you're doing everything online, just like I am. Like, we're here, countless hours, and it's just very lazy for
Yeah.
them to think that maybe there's something deeper going on. It's not like you just showed up out of nowhere with evidence that clearly would have been given to you, or what. And by the way, if that were the case, that's fair too. It seems as though she's really latched onto. I mean, what's your belief as like a psych evaluator? I don't know if you can speak towards it, but what's your belief about what might be going on in her head? Is there a possibility that she's in such denial that she's not beloved by everybody, that she has to believe that there's a smear campaign?
Maybe. I mean, it kind of seems that way to me. I'm trying not to go there so much from a professional, standpoint, because I feel like I don't know enough about this lady. I don't care enough about her personal life to know that kind of stuff about her, to really get inside her head. I'm like, I don't, because I just do the court stuff. So I'm not like analyzing her every move, and I don't really like read a lot of the tabloid stuff. So it's hard for me to really say, but I have to think that on some level she just won't accept it. Yes, like you're saying, she will not accept it to the point where she's just like going to double down and kind of say it has to be everyone else. It can't be me. So
And people are so complicated and complex. Take Laura Owens, for example. Clayton Echard said she was perfectly charming until the
yeah,
moment he rejected her. I bet you could hang out with Blake Lively and you could just have a ball of a time if she sees you as an equal. I think what it comes to is like, I used to do background and stuff on Gossip Girl, and they would be very
yeah,
protected. There would be someone there to hold the umbrella, and I get why they do that. They have to
right.
protect them from paparazzi. They're shooting this popular show like live in New York City, where they have to be very protected. But like, my wife, before we even knew each other, also worked on Gossip Girl, and
Oh, I didn't
just,
know that.
oh yeah, like we all worked in the same kind of community. And she said they would kind of be on their phones playing video games, and it would say, all right, time to go to set. So when you're a background, they say, all right, go to set. When you're first team, when you're the stars, they go, we would like to invite you to set at this moment. And then you might say,
Yeah,
I'm going to go to the bathroom. And that you really like get to push your boundaries. And when you're given that sort of entitlement, I empathize with how hard it must be to not feel like you're better than other people. I really mean that. Like,
yeah,
it's a product of giving an 18-year-old the keys to the palace, and they start to drink that Kool-Aid.
sure.
15 years later, 17 years later, she's married to a guy. They're hundreds of millionaires.
Yeah.
So I can see where that comes from versus a Justin Baldoni. And I didn't realize this until I started covering the case. I have a handful of first degree separation connections to Justin Baldoni,
Oh,
because
nice.
I worked in LA for a decade, and they they
Okay, yeah.
they
That's right.
they DM all the time. I mean, to the point where I might as well have been in the deposition room with them. I mean, I'm close in there, let me tell you, and I can't share too much because it wouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the
I hear you.
connections. But
Yeah, fair enough.
with that said, you take someone like Justin, who you got to work real hard. You got to go to those 400 auditions before you get
Right.
the part. You see that blue collar success and that ability to work hard, and versus someone who really was gifted success. And it really is a conversation of like the billionaire versus the blue collar.
Yeah.
And I think that's why audiences are rallying around him, because they see the strings that have been pulled to kind of smear him throughout this process. And that's the irony, right? Is she's accusing him of a smear campaign when in
Yeah.
fact he was, and I always relate it to like jujitsu. He didn't hire these people to be on the offensive. He hired them because he needed self-defense, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can also kind of see the way they've gone at content creators and stuff as well from their side. Like, he's not suing her for a smear campaign, so it's not a big enough deal for it to matter in court. But they've gone to people like apparently Bethany Frankel, and then there was Lynette, who was subpoenaed, who went to high school with Blake, who they had approached both of those people, to my knowledge, asking them to speak favorably of Blake, like Blake's side of Blake's team or whatever. So it's kind of weird. It's like they're allowed to do that, right? But then if he does anything, on his side of things, it's like some sort of offense.
Yeah, and we've also seen this sort of complicity where Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are at one of the top two agencies in the world. You've got people like, and I'm not blaming them, like an Emily D. Baker. Why the hell would she want to meddle in this when she's at the same law firm? You've got Nick Viall, sponsored by Mint Mobile. I'd have a hard time being objective if I was getting that big Mint Mobile money. Like we're able to think freely about this, but there's plenty of times in the Bachelor world where I've become friends with somebody and then they do something that's like sort of, and I'm like, I'm going to stay off this one. So you can see how that can play out when you're like the top dog and it's not necessarily a coordinated campaign. And I think that's what all of the cast and crew or the cast at least did early on, is like, we're not going to go after Ryan Reynolds. Let's let Baldoni fight this fight, which is so, like, I would hope if I was going through some stuff, people would show up. And that's why I got so upset with certain people in the Bachelor community that didn't show up when I just needed a little bit of a helping hand when I was being targeted. So like, how does it feel coming at this? I mean, quite honestly, as a relative nobody, respectfully, to having,
I said it first. You're fine.
An utter dork, to all of a sudden being like, I'll just text my lawyer friends. I mean, you've got an army of these people behind you. How does that feel to know that you're not alone out here?
So I'm lucky to have. I keep my private life and my friends that I've had before I started doing all this like very, very private, and so I'm lucky to have a lot of lawyers and smart people behind me that I've known for over a decade, or close to a decade. And so they've been there to help me. But that's just by chance, really. If it were anyone else who doesn't, happen to have friends who are a bunch of attorneys and stuff like that, it might be a much more dire situation for them. I feel like I was pointed in the right direction a lot of times that other people might not, have had as much help and have had to rely on other means. So I luckily did have a lot of people in my corner. And then, of course, Omar and Rachel. I didn't ask them to do anything for me or anything like that, but I just, in the beginning stages of that, I was like, hey, what does this mean? What is this? So I've had people to help me out along the way.
And it's so great to have professional legal help from someone you're not paying, because you can get like an honest answer, not someone who's trying to like put you under a retainer. So you filed a protective order in your response. What does that all entail?
So I was just asking that she require like court approval if she were to come after my information again, because she didn't really have a basis to do so in the first place. And she's done this to a lot of people. At this point, we know 107. So how many people are going to get tied up in attorney's fees trying to fight her off from getting their like bank account and credit card information? Or if you were one of the TikTok people, like your SIM card and your search history and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like how many people are affected by that and are going to have to pay thousands in legal bills to fight that off? So I'm asking, like, could you make it so she has to basically make a case, like there's a reasonable basis for her issuing the subpoena before she does it to me again?
Well, we're rooting you on, and I had one last question I wanted to ask. Are you going full time on YouTube? Are you not ditching the other gigs? What's the give me the life update?
Well, Dave, as you know, healthcare in this country is terrible. And so I have to keep my full-time job because that is what my healthcare is tied to. So I keep my 9 to 5 and I'm doing this more and more, but it's going to be a long time, I think, before I could do this full-time. I would have to see how it goes. And I know things are like inconsistent and you're going to have to see how things go month to month on this. So I'm not ready to quite give up my day job yet.
That'll be me sucking you into the full-time. I mean, you already are full-time. It's insane. You've made me blush seeing how quickly you get you're literally, do you carry a printer on you? You're just printing out court documents and going live nonstop. You remind me of myself before I had a child.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, I don't have any kids or anything right now, so I'm kind of able to do stuff like that as it comes through, but I'm sure at some point in my life it'll be a little bit harder.
Well, you're beloved, and we really appreciate you, and it's great to see all of your success. So, keep us posted with updates. But I was getting a ton of DMs saying, you got to have Lauren back on, and I feel like I actually have, because we communicate so much.
Yeah,
but, you got to come back more often, but we really appreciate all of the updates.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for everything. Obviously, I wouldn't be here without you. So.
Oh, yeah. I'll hold that over your head when you're way famous.
I mean, I'm not ready for that, but okay.
When you don't answer my phone calls anymore, I knew you win. Well, anyway, have a good weekend and thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Well, wasn't that special? A nice casual Friday for you. If you're interested in content over the weekend, I'll definitely have some Candace Owens updates from her defamation case. The plan is to read her full lawsuit that Brigitte Macron, First Lady of France, filed against her. It's going to take a hell of a lot of time, but I've got Celsius energy drinks up the wazoo, so I'll be there doing that. As you guys may know, on Friday afternoons, we like to remind you, if you're listening to this episode and leaving work, put those middle fingers up, give the old middle finger salute to your boss, kick those double doors down, drive home and tell your boss under your breath to go fuck themselves. That's it for me. Hope you guys have an excellent weekend. Do something I wouldn't do and then some. We'll see you later. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.